When talking about Cruel Dilemma, episode 6, this is this week's Aelita Diaries, by the way, I get pretty much three prevailing opinions. It's one of the first episodes that anybody has watched of Code Lyoko ever. It's one of the most controversial-ish episodes, and it's one of the best of the early 10. Unlike last week's big bug where hardly anything happened at all, and I could have probably turned that into a YouTube short, there's a bunch that happens here. A ton. This and image problem. But it also is the start of a trend. A trend that the fandom has named, actually. The next 5 episodes are known as Pick on Yumi Week. Why? Because when Code Lyoko originally aired in France, it just so happened that the episodes that fall next in the order all have Yumi as the main attack target. And, by the way, these episodes aired all in 1 week, all at one time. I didn't know about this until a podcast without danger brought it up in their episode review of Cruel Dilemma, which, by the way, they do an excellent job, even better than I will here, at breaking the episode down. Go to Spotify, find them, or go to Twitter at Code Lyoko Pod. You'll find their link right there. They do great. They just did a Girl of My Dreams, which is episode 10. Soon enough, we're going to catch and pass them. I guarantee it. But as far as Cruel Dilemma goes, my lord, this episode, so many things. From memorable dialogue lines to one of the most tension-filled Ryoko battles to semi-lore dumps. It's got a little bit of everything. And oddly, starts out pretty normally. Cadet Academy is getting a new school track. Keep in mind, this school track will be used in future episodes, several in fact. In fact, the next time you see the track will be Satellite, oddly enough. John Luke is explaining what the school track and new gym are for, but in the background, you'll also see that it's still under construction. But this is a subtle, unsubtle tease of the Xana method that we get in the episode. Yumi, Oric, and Odd are listening to the principal talk while Jeremy is having a delightful conversation with Aelita, which, by the way, it's an early first zinger of a line. There's about 4 of them in this episode. And trust me, Jeremy being locked in a cyber conversation, yeah. Jeremy's an antisocial sort, and Aelita has only given him more of a reason to become more antisocial. We peep in on the conversation as they're testing the materialization program. Something you'll see about 4 more times before this season's end, but this is the first time you're seeing it in proper practice here. Now, Aelita, of course, cutely naive as she is excited everything to work out, even getting semi flirty romantic, which flusters Jeremy a bit. The program runs, and of course, because we have 20 episodes to go, it flops. Jeremy immediately hits self confidence level 0 and, and is worried that he won't be up to the task of getting it done. Aelita tries to encourage him, but there's no way getting through that thick skull. And he decides, instead of getting angry about it, to get up and stretch his legs. Well, right around this small little time gap between the time that Jeremy returns to his room after his walk, Odd walks in and notices Jeremy's candy by the desk. And before he can take a pop, well, Jeremy catches Odd in his room, which startles him a bit. This is the key point where the candies, because the keys are overly sensitive. I don't know why you would have overly sensitive computer keys, but okay. Manages to hit 6 specific keys that, of course, we don't see because the candy fall happens within a split 2 seconds, so we can't really freeze frame to see where the candies have landed. Jeremy's, of course, upset. It's telling him to chill. But it just so happens that the keys happen to be the right keys. Because when the test is run a second time, with Odd's mistaken play, the program actually works, which leads to the second of the one-liners. After Jeremy's happily excited, and because of a previous line where Jeremy calls him a creep, he Odd delightfully asks him whether he's a genius or a creep, in which Jeremy responds with, "You're a creepy genius," and re explains the entire situation that didn't need to be re explained. Jeremy's excited to end the season plot early, but thankfully he's got friends with brains in his head. They have a short conversation where they explain that Aelita's got nothing. No birth certificate, no knowledge of a family, and no place to stay. Now, granted, the place to stay is quickly resolved by Yumi, but everything else isn't. Just take 21 episodes. He'll commit some cybercrime and he'll knock out the other problems about not being enrolled in the school and forging a false birth certificate. Yes, he does these things on top of many other cybercrimes that Jeremy Belcroft will execute. It won't be long before his next one, the aforementioned satellite, in which he will commit some cybercrime. But they universally agree that they got one shot and they're willing to go through with it in the morning, which to me is a bit illogical and a bit too long. But chance to end the plot early. Do it. Meanwhile, Xana uses the cover of night to launch his specters into those aforementioned bulldozers. Plot notwithstanding. As he's doing this, though, Jeremy's got insomnia and decides to have a late night conversation with Aelita, which leads to one of my favorite Aelita isms. Throughout the course of this series, Aelita gets off some really solid one-liners. I mean, super solid. And they often are perfectly set up and paid off where you don't feel them coming at any point. This conversation is the first one, where Jeremy explains that he can't sleep because he's so excited. He really wants to show her around the planet Earth and tells her there's so many things that she can learn about over here. In which Aelita responds rather beautifully, in fact, with "You mean like sleeping?" This is perfect comedic timing. In 2002, most modern shows can't get this kind of timing correct. Jim also can't get any sleep, it seems. And we also continue the conversation when Jeremy explains how senses work and drops our first bit of lore dump here. In Lyoko, Aelita can only see and hear, doesn't have the full six senses yet. It just so happens she senses that Xana's made his move. Jeremy notices the noise of the bulldozers as well, and they're off to deal with today's plot. Now, as for breaking Odd and Oric, well, he's no drill sergeant. He gets on rather easily, but Oric says earplugs, for the point that Odd snores, and they're off to chase down the bulldozers as Jeremy makes the factory run. Where are the bulldozers headed? Well, straight to where Jeremy is headed. The plot is pretty simple. Santa's like, if I wreck their stuff, they can't stop me. Relatively simple, I'd say, and logical. Oric tries to get on one of the bulldozers to try to stop it manually, but no such luck. And once Jeremy gets to the factory and communicates with Oric, that's when that's when Jeremy decides to get Yumi involved. Which, once she finds out that Oric's on one of the bulldozers, she springs into action, probably jumping out of her window, which is something you'll see in later episodes, but I can assume, due to educated knowledge, that that's exactly what she does after getting dressed. And by the time Yumi gets there, the bulldozers are already doing their work on the factory proper. They've already knocked out Oric through just sheer force of impact into one of the walls, thus breaking the glass on the bulldozers as well. If it wasn't an animated cartoon, you would have several lacerations and cuts from the glass, have at least a stage 3 concussion, if not had bled out already. Oric would have been a dead duck if not for plot armor. Yumi would have taken some minor injuries, but at least logically she would have had the strength to carry Oric downstairs, which she does after saving him twice. And this is one of several tension filled moments here. Meanwhile, Odd's already made the Leopian drop and is helping out as best he can, but he can't hit the broadside of a barn even against some canker odds. To the point where Odd's about to run out of arrows. We get the second and third great line here when Odd explains when Yumi is finally ready for action that he's getting a little lonely. She says, "Gotcha," and takes off. And Jeremy makes note that Oric is still fast asleep, in which Odd says that must be hard without his earplugs, which gets a chuckle out of Jeremy. Once again, set up, payoff, and memory. See what good writing is? Connecting scenes with other scenes that lead to simple one-liner jokes. It's not that hard, modern day writers, and yet this episode pulls it off with a multitude of aplomb. Yumi makes the drop, but is a little bit slow to stop Odd from being devirtualized from a canker lot because of the future flash. The second time we've seen it now. And this one has a rather grim implication. But it just so happens that a mega tank has appeared to be the big stopper again. And just when Odd gets back, he explains to Jeremy the vision, and the vision is a grim one. And we're going to see it come to pass sooner rather than later. Oric somehow able to move and function after a stage 3 concussion, says he's going to dive in to prevent the vision. Again, stage 3 concussion from a car accident in a high-speed vehicle. But hey, we're talking animated cartoons here. Or dives in and tries to dash to get the Yumi in time, which Yumi uses her full body weight to push the mega tank out of Aelita's way, clearing her path. But not without barely losing her grip. This right here will happen so many more times to Yumi, it's ridiculous. So much so in season 2, they make a joke about it the next time it happens. But sure enough, she's dangling by a thread. Aelita's got the job done, but Oric is about 2 seconds late. Yumi falls into the digital sea, virtualized forever. Code word for dead. That's right. We have a character death in episode 6. Something that Americans would never do. The mission might be accomplished for today, but the team is despondent to lose one of their own and lose it so close. Orc is, of course, devastated, but won't say much about it. But, as Aelita points out, there is a way out. The materialization program mastered during the A block. And sure enough, that is the way out. Aelita, being the true team leader that she is, decides to trade her spot for Yumi, based on the sense that Yumi's had more time on her. Once again, this is why she's the real leader of this team. Sacrificial, puts her team first, willing to do whatever it takes, even at her own cost. That's what real leaders are about. And she showcases it here again. Yumi is saved, the status quo is reestablished, but not without emotional devastation from Jeremy. Funny enough, this episode ends symbolically with Odd having another bag of candy around the vending machines. And Yumi with a good bit of semi-advice tells Jeremy to take one, saying candy can solve anything, even a broken heart. Now understand, right now, it's cute. Right now, it's sympathetic. But Jeremy's later actions in the series won't make cute scenes like this seem sympathetic. For now, it's cute. For now, it's delightful. It won't be that way by Journey's end here. This episode is our first 6 since Teddy Godzilla. It's clear. War implications, massive tension, not only due to the Xana attack at play, but the shock ending at the back end. Great one-liners and dialogue short but sweet Lyoko scenes. Everything just works here. It's a lot of fans' first time, and for good reason. And if this is your first episode of Code Lyoko, you picked a damn good one to start with. So, tell me how you feel about World Limit down there, and make sure to give a listen to a podcast without danger at Code Lyoko Pod on the Twitter. Plus, I also have a Discord as well, in which you can talk to other Code Lyoko fans there. They're the main motivation for this series. I've already watched Image Problem, and that video will be coming out Monday. So stay tuned for that. And we'll be going through Pick on Yumi Month, it seems. If we stay online, we'll be at episode 11 by month's end. So until Monday, I'm Nirvana Sparkle. Find peace in your own Nirvana. Thanks for watching. And dang, 25 minutes. I told you.